Good morning. Welcome back to our Fireside chat. I'm sure you can see the smoke from a fire, but got something going here. Cigar. But I wasn't planning on doing another one of these until Wednesday. But I just think some things need to be said. You know, war is at our feet, whether we want to realize it or not. And we have got to come to terms with that. And we can't ignore it, or else we're going to be the next victims of it. And yeah, I was going to say, I'm sure you've seen the news, but maybe you haven't. But you know, Saturday night, there was a shooting in North Carolina. Some dude was on the coast, along the shoreline. Some dude rolled up in a boat, opened fire on some restaurant, and drove away in his boat. I think I remember seeing it was some former Marine. I don't have all the details on that dude. And then Sunday morning, there was an attack on a church in Michigan, Church of Latter-day Saints, Mormon church. And this morning, there's a Secret Service vehicle on fire in front of the White House. I don't know if that was intentional or if it was an accident or what the deal is, but there is clearly chaos in our country. And one thing on the shooting at the Mormon church, I've seen a lot of people online, you know, because that's a reality, but on X, condemning people who are supposedly justifying what happened because, Mormons aren't real Christians. Now, I haven't seen any of those comments. People are saying, oh, well, it's good that happened because Mormons aren't real Christians or whatever. Maybe I wouldn't be the one to see those comments because I'm a Mormon, and, you know, that's not the type of content that I typically engage with on X or whatever. But I've seen a whole lot of people saying that, condemning the people who are saying that. So I don't know, but you know, whether or not you have issues with Mormon theology or whatever doctrine, now it's not the time for that. You know, we've got to come together as Christians, band together, and fight evil that is persecuting all of us. It's coming after all of us, regardless of what doctrine we decide to squabble over. Whether it's Catholics, Protestants, Mormons, whatever flavor of Protestant you are, we've got to come together and fight this for what it is. And it just feels like there is a stunning lack of leadership at the moment. And maybe that's an unfair claim because of the rate at which these events are happening. You know, if multiple shootings in a week, maybe it's unfair to say that the government isn't taking any action on this. It's my dog yelling. But People are scared. And when people are scared, they need direction and they crave leadership. They demand leadership. And when there's a void in leadership, it's going to be filled. It must be filled. And we have to make sure it's filled with the right people, with the right motivations, with the right mindset. If we don't take action in a responsible, measured way that correctly identifies the problem and forcefully pursues solutions to those issues, then that leadership void will be filled with someone far more irresponsible, with unclear motivations or just upright evil motivations. So we have got to take a stand and take action. If you go to church and your pastor hasn't said anything about this, and I've seen a lot of people talk about singling out the Charlie Kirk incident. That was very important, but it is so much bigger than just one person. This is a fight of good against evil. Just in the span of the last month, we've had, I think 5 or 6, 7 of these. More than one a week. We have to see this trend for what it is and address it. I feel like I'm probably repeating myself here, but I think it's a point worth emphasizing. War has come to America. We must begin acting like it. We've been in this period of unprecedented relative peace. When you zoom out of all of world history, we've been in pretty peaceful times, and that time is has come to an end. And if we want to hold on to the civilization we have built, to the country we have built, we have to stand up, step up to the plate, and take action. Now, it's not just incumbent upon our leaders to do this. It's something we as individuals need to do as well. You never think these things are going to happen to you until they do. It's easy to see something on TV and be like, oh, well, that's there. I'm not going to get caught up in that. But before you know it, you're going to be the one who's in a body bag on TV. Now, I don't say that to try to scare people, but people are already scared. And if we don't become situationally aware, if we aren't vigilant in protecting what we have built and the people that we love and the lives of innocent people, then that is the end result. There's far worse things than death, but we can do something to prevent this. We just have to be willing to. Getting back to on the individual level, if you don't carry in public, you really need to. And I know I know some states that's very difficult, and I'm sorry. We have got to demand that Congress passes constitutional carry nationwide. I don't know why that's not a thing. But in the meantime, there's a company called Byrna, BYRNA. They have things. They look like pistols. They're realistic looking to pistols, but they're not classified as a firearm. It's like from what I understand, it's a CO2 cartridge that fires some kinetic rounds that are non-lethal, and you can have there's like pepper spray rounds you can load in there that are legal in all 50 states. If you live in California, that's probably a really good option for you. If you live in a more conservative state, you probably want to be packing a real gun. And I really encourage you, don't just throw a gun on your hip and think you'll be all good. If you've never shot a firearm before, you do not want the first time you pull that trigger to be when there's someone trying to do you harm in front of you. Because you're going to hesitate, you're going to be nervous, probably not going to hit your target, and that can cost more innocent lives. It costs you your life. So don't just go out and get a gun and start carrying. Even if there is constitutional carry, I encourage you to go get your license to carry. I'm pursuing that right now myself. Go to the range, practice drawing your weapon, so that when the time comes, you're confident in your ability to handle the situation. Once a month, go out to the range. As far as situational awareness goes, it's so easy to get stuck with your face in your phone. You have got to put it down. If you're out in public, I'm not saying you need to be all high-strung on edge, but it helps a lot just to put your phone down and, don't stare at the ground while you're walking. Just glance around. Just casually be aware of what is going on around you. Even if you don't carry, just having some situational awareness can help you. If something feels suspicious, or you trust your gut, man. If something feels wrong, get out of the situation. There's a lot of bad situations where the right answer isn't to engage, it's to get out of there. Just something, you feel like something's going down, but there's no concrete evidence of it yet. Just be like, look to your husband, wife, like, hey babe, we need to get out of here. We need to go somewhere else. Get your family out of the situation. That goes for driving too. It can be easy to be riding people's butt on the road. You gotta maintain some space between you and the car in front of you, so that way you're not stuck behind somebody if something bad starts going down on the road. So that way you can get out of there if you need be. Personally, I try not to be in the middle lane if I don't have to. Like if there's a 3-lane road, don't be in that middle lane. You'll be stuck. Try to forecast in front of you. Hey, in a couple miles, I'm going to be turning right. I'm going to try to stay in this right lane. That way you can pull off on the shoulder and get out of the way if need be. And look a couple of cars ahead and what's going on. I apologize. Dogs are being crazy with the neighbor dogs over there. But You know, if you're going to a restaurant, take a look around at where the ideal route is to get out of there if you need to. You know, if someone comes through the front door with a gun, that's probably not where you want to go. If you're not armed in that situation, you just need to get your family out of there. You need to know where to go. You know, find an alternative exit through the kitchen or something, some back door, some side door. Just take a couple seconds when you first walk in. You're like, all right, if something happens here, I know I'm going here. If something happens there, I know I'm going there. You know, it doesn't have to be this stress thing with your loved ones where you're like so constantly like, okay, you know, just, especially the men out there, just take a moment, think to yourself, okay, this is my plan. In any situation, just have an idea of what your plan is going to be. Yeah, and I said this in my last video. If you go to church and you have some experience in some kind of, whether it's prior law enforcement, prior military, and I know experiences in military can vary a lot. But if you've been in the Army for 4 years, you have some idea of situational awareness, security operations. You have some general knowledge. Try to put that knowledge to use. You know, it's important to protect the flock. It's important to protect the people that you love and that you care for. And I will say, try not to be cold to people. You know, be kind. Try to show people grace in what you do. Try to let God's grace flow through you and be seen by other people in your interactions. But that doesn't mean you have to be naive either. They aren't mutually exclusive. You know, don't just lay down and be like, yeah, you can kill me. I don't think that's the answer. As if it is, evil will rule the world. Innocents will die and get hurt. And we can't let that happen. We have a responsibility to ensure that doesn't happen. Anyway, I think that's all that I got on my mind. Before I hit record on this, I said a quick little prayer. God, please let what you want to be heard through this video. I hope that's the case. I hope that's what the message that he wants to be heard. Not trying to act all self-righteous about that, but we can't let goodness in the world die. We have a responsibility to preserve it. Anyway. If you watch this video, I'll be praying for you. I'll be praying for you even if you didn't. If you didn't, you won't know. You won't be hearing this. But anyway, I'll be praying for you, the country, for our civilization, for good in the world. We can't do it by ourselves, but we have to do something. Anyway, end it with our closing prayer. Lord, we need you. need you more than ever. Please guide our leaders to take hold of this situation. Take action, righteous action, and to restore order and peace in our country. Please guide all of us as individuals to lead our families in the right direction. Lead us to you, Lord. Please, God, save the Republic. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. All right, y'all. Be safe out there. Be vigilant. Keep your head on a swivel. I love you. I appreciate it if you watch this. I'll see you probably on Wednesday. I'm sure there'll be something else that comes up. All right, I'll see you then.